Good morning, everybody. Just sharing this around. Getting better at this. I guess that's a good thing. It used to not be so good. It would take me forever. And y'all would just sit here waiting. Now it's better, it's better, it's better. All right. Da-dum-bum. Let's see. So say hello, guys, if you are on. Um, let's see here. Let me turn this around on my phone. Yes, indeed. Happy Tuesday, by the way. Happy Tuesday. All right, let me get into this. Oh, hi, Carol. How are you? Good to see you. All right, trying to get you guys where I can see. Um, so I have shared this all around. Most of you know that I do this. If you don't know, you probably have like been in a hole somewhere. But this is good morning, Andrea. This is shared, of course, in my mini groups, my VIP group, my team group, my onward no matter what group, because everybody needs to know they're not alone in this life. Good morning to my daughter Jess. How are you? I miss you too, girl. Miss you. Miss all of you. I'm not gonna blubber here because I will blubber and I will cry. We're not gonna do this. I did this yesterday. Ah, ah, ah. What a week, y'all. It was a great week. Lee and I were blessed and were able to go up and spend time with the family. And good morning, Mary. And the great thing is, get to meet my new grandson, Cam, Camden Luke, who is absolutely perfect. Just perfect. Even when he cries, it's perfect. I sit and I look at him in amazement, and everybody takes things like pregnancy and childbirth just as something that, it just happens and it's happened forever and for always. And when I really think about the fact that this perfect child who has 10 fingers and 10 toes and uh, just two eyes and a nose and just this beautiful skin tone and this beating heart and functional organs and I just wonder sometimes, how in the world do people not believe in God when I see something so perfect that just baked in her tummy for 9 months, and to see that miracle that I feel like it's so easy to take for granted. It is so easy to um, just go, well, yeah, that's the circle of life. That's just how things happen. And I'm like, no, I can say that about a lot of things. Have you seen the mountains? Have you seen the ocean? Have you this stupid like Big Bang there? Are you kidding? Well, I'd love to know that who rules the Big Bang then? You know what I'm saying? I mean, he is this child and Skylar, I felt the same way with Skylar. And when I see anybody's babies, Michaela just had her daughter Kensley, and I'm looking and I'm like, this isn't like cloning. They're all so different, right? They all have their different looks. They all have their different personalities that they're forming. We all are in that bloodline, but they're all so different. And I just think that God's handiwork is shown every day when a new little guy or gal is born into this world. And I always wonder, man, how is God going to use them? Because I'm sure it's going to be absolutely amazing. Um, he, of course, is going to be a heartbreaker for sure. Just already smiling and trying to coo a little bit, and mom and dad getting used to what his needs are and what's best for him. And um, I told Earl and Jess a few times. Earl, of course, who's been there before, but I swear it's like the first time again. And just saying, you are the parents. This child is your responsibility. And, you just pay attention to what his needs are. He's going to let you know. And um, how amazing it is to say, isn't that like our relationship with God? He is there and we have the ability to voice what we want, but yet he knows what we need. And that's our job as parents. And, I view God kind of as, my parent, my guide, my friend. Uh, and when life is hard, sometimes the daddy in your life, the mama in your life, or you feel like as a child, they're the only people who can rescue you. Um, and some of us lose that in time. I was lucky enough to have my mom for 16 years, but then I lost my mom to cancer and she wasn't there. And you really do feel like when you lose a parent, whether it's a parent walking away from you, whether it's that you lose a parent through death or whatever that looks like, there is a loss. There is this feeling of emptiness that you're like, how do you feel that? Um, and I think what happens is I'm very thankful for time and I'm very thankful for God, because I didn't do real well when that happened to me. I didn't do well at all. I was mad. I was angry, very angry. I was pissed off, let me be honest. And I just didn't want anything to do with God and I didn't want anything to do with church. And um, it's so weird. It's like I didn't know then, but the devil really took that and really used that for his benefit, for a while. What I didn't know until years later is that God said, Molly chose to go this way. She chose to respond this way. She chose to look at things this way because of the circumstances, because I was young, because I was immature, because I didn't really have the right people supporting me in the journey, to be quite honest. And, but he said, just wait. She has gone through so much. Just wait. I'm going to use her. She's going to be able to take these stories. She's going to be able to take these moments in life and these moments in business, these moments in being a mom, these moments in feeling alone, these moments in falling down and completely all out failing, but getting back up. He knew long before me that he was going to be able to take every bad thing, every not so good memory, every wrong turn, every bad word, every bad journey, every bad choice, and he was going to be able to use that as soon as I got where I needed to get, that said, life is just too short to box with God. Life is just too short to blame him for life happening. And he could have jerked a knot in me for sure and could have said, no, you're going to do this. But see, God doesn't do that. He doesn't work like that. When we turn to him, when we turn to him, he wants us to turn to him because it's what we want, because we realize it's what we need. Um, I can't say that I've always been the best example at any time in my life. I can definitely tell you I've never been the best mom. I can tell you I haven't always been the best friend or the best family member. I can tell you I definitely haven't always been the best leader. I haven't always been the best example. Good morning, Gwenda. But what I can tell you is that I am so glad that amongst my brokenness, that God has been able to use me. That even when I didn't know he was using me, long before I really came back to saying, hold up, there's God out there and he's got a direction for me, right? Long before that, he was using my journey even when I didn't know it. And had I not gone through a lot of the things that I went through when I was younger, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Sometimes it's still hard to be thankful for the bad stuff. But the bad stuff is probably the stuff that has made more of an impact on me than the good stuff. Um, there are moments in life where we get stuck. And even before I started doing these devotionals, even before I started doing live streams like for my Avon family and my Avon tribe, long before I started sharing my life, my journey, my business, there was always that little nagging thing that said, you know, you really shouldn't do this. You are really not the person, Molly. You have had so much that you have done wrong and that you still get wrong. You know, are you aware, Molly, that you are a hot mess? Let me say it again loud. A hot mess. I am a hot mess, but I'm a hot mess for Jesus. I'm a hot mess for the Avon community. I'm a hot mess for my family. You know what I'm saying? Good morning, Veronica. I am proud of the fact that although I am a hot mess, I have figured out that what is used the most in my life is the fact that I'm a hot mess. And the fact that I can embrace it and still try to do better, but yet still be able to share with all of you that I am here still trying to get it right. And I do not always get it right. Look, if I was the person that you watched all the time, let me talk to my Avon family for just a minute. If I was the person who always earned every award, if I was the person who earned every trip, if I was the person who never struggled with titles or never struggled with my sales or never struggled being frustrated with the company, right? Those things. If I was that person and I was like this, I would feel like a clone of what you wish that you could be in business all the time. If I was the person who said, I need you to know I have never missed a trip. I have never missed an incentive. I believe that where God uses me, especially in business, is I am the person who had to fight for it when I did earn it. I was the person that by the time I earned something, right? By the time I earned something, I was so like stinking like, yes, yes, yes. It didn't come easily for me. It never has. Newsflash, it still isn't easy. This life, this business, family, none of it is easy. Oh, we have our like times when we feel like we are gliding, right? We are gliding through it, right? Like, oh, it is smooth right now. Don't get used to smooth. Most of the people who never tell you about the bumps, it's not that there's not bumps. It's that they just don't share the bumps. I'm not judging them. It's okay. That may not be their calling. Their calling may be the person who is always just singing the praises of God or singing the praises of business or singing how great and positive everything is. And I am here for the positive. You all know that because when I got positive, I am sharing it. But let me tell you something. My person that I relate to, Joanne says, can you send me smooth, girl? I'm so feeling you, Joanna. You know that, girl. I am the person who tells you that I feel like I am 95% of the community out there. Sometimes I think that your respect or your love for me, or even my haters who keep following me, I feel like it's because you're getting the real deal with me. That when there is a struggle, good morning, Amanda. Good morning, Nita. How are you? When there is a struggle with me, I am not the one who's going to sit there and just cry and piss and moan, for lack of a better phrase, because it is my phrase, of what's going on. But what I am going to tell you is I am not going to choose. Good morning, Christy. I am not going to choose to stay there. When there are bumps in business, when there are bumps in life, when there are bumps in your family, and by the way, right now, let me let you in. I am experiencing all of that in my life right now. I am in not a hurricane. I feel like I've been in a rainstorm for a while. Does that make sense? You know how you get days and days and days of rain, and everywhere you stop, there's mud. Everywhere you go, there is something that you're like, oh, you know, you feel like family is exactly where you need it. And then boom, something happens and there's something going on within family. Somebody needs prayer. Somebody's having a tough time, right? I'm there. I'm there. My family's going through a little of that right now. And then you feel like business, and what happens is you're watching social media, right? And you're watching all these people, bing, 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 all these people hitting these orders, and you're looking at your own orders and you're going, hold up, what's going on with my customers, right? And you feel like you're not where you need to, quote unquote, be there, right? Um, and then maybe your team isn't performing how you would like it to perform, right? And maybe you feel like if you're on some, maybe you're trying to be healthier, and maybe you're like, dag, I'm at this threshold where I just, you know what, it's not happening, or I fell off the wagon. And then through it all, you feel like there is this storm brewing, right? That you're just like, man, there is always something going on. Maybe you're not feeling 100%. What I'm telling you is, I'm your person who's going to tell you that's going on. And there are people who they have been raised and they struggle. It's not that they don't ever have dark times. Never believe that. Because I don't believe there is anybody out there that it's 100% all the time. Not unless they're just living in a bubble somewhere. But it's not their calling to be that person about the struggles. I feel like that when you are in my house, that you know that you're not alone. And I believe that's where God's blessed me. Whoa. He has blessed me because he has given me the courage to be honest. He has given me the courage to find the fight to stay in there. And he has given me the energy when sometimes I feel like I've got nothing else to give. That I can say, God, there is nothing else I can draw from in my life. I can't draw from inner strength. I can't draw from my physical strength. I can't draw from other people. I am exhausted. What do I do? And in the midst of sometimes just giving up, that it's not about me and what I can do. It's about what can he do through me. It's about drawing my strength from him, and sometimes being completely still to say, man, life sometimes can hand you some really, really hard gut punches. But God is there to heal the bruise. But it doesn't mean that you don't go through the pain of what just happened. It doesn't mean that when things are going on with your kids that you can't fix. Like, it's up to them, right? It's up to them. But sometimes I think God just wants to hear from me, God, I'm going to quit being a control freak right here, and I'm going to quit trying to think that I can fix everything in their life, every doubt they have about themselves, every hard time, every anything that's happening in relationships. The fact that I feel like they should be doing X, Y, and Z, but they're doing P, R, Q, and Z, you know. Sometimes it's about me just saying, but God, they're yours. This is yours. So I'm giving this to you. You know, in my business, I have to do that a lot, especially these days. I have to say, I know that I am doing the steps that you continually want me to do, Lord, even when it feels like it's not making a difference. Let me talk to you as a leader for just a minute. Have you ever thought in the midst of leading that you can have your Zoom meetings, you can send your emails, you can reach out by text, you can call, you can do everything there is to do, but you feel like no matter what you do, that it's not producing what you think it should produce. Yeah, many times. In almost 19 years, many times. That has been me. Thinking, but how come more of my people don't show up? Uh, how come they're not there live? Why is it always replay? Guys, let me let you in on something here, especially if you're trying to get this leader thing. We're all still growing in that. But do you know how you feel like sometimes you fall down and you can't be there? All these people are in a different place in their life. We have team members that are all over the country. And according to the time that I pick that I can do something, it may not be a good time for them. Sometimes I've taken some of my Zooms, well, I do them all the time, and I put them on YouTube. And I will have team members or other people from other teams who maybe I did this 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever, be able to say, oh, wow, commenting, hey, I just watched your YouTube. Thank you so much. Or they'll email me and say, and I'm thinking to myself, I didn't think that Zoom, I didn't think that live stream, I didn't think that email or that text, I didn't think that any of it made any impact at all. And then I forget what I tell you guys all the time, planting the seeds. Planting the seeds of maybe the person who needs to hear what you're saying or what you're typing or the message you're leaving hasn't heard yet, or maybe it will hit them differently if they watch it again, if they hear it again. Or how about 4 days later, they happen to see the text because they've been with a sick parent, they've been with a job 14 hours. They've been with a husband who's given them a hard time. And they say, oh my goodness, Molly, I needed this and I'm just seeing it now. What if I had stopped? We are not put on this earth to stop doing the good that we're supposed to do. We're not. But we've been taught that we need instant gratification, right? We've been taught that if people don't respond in the moment, if people don't show up on time, if people don't don't acquire the ability to be where you want them at the time that you want them to be there, that if that doesn't happen, there's no impact. Not true. Not true. In all those years between my mom dying and me being angry with God and basically embarrassing, but I'm going to be here and I'm going to be honest, basically flipping my middle bird to God and saying, you took one of the best people in my life, the person who meant the most, and you think I'm going to sit and praise you for this now? No, I'm not. I don't care if you like it. I'm good. You know what? I've been trying to live the good life. What good did that do me? Here I am, motherless, with a dad who doesn't even act like he cares now. My family is torn apart, and you want me to thank you for that? You want me to think, you church people, this was what I said, that this is God's will? No, I won't. And matter of fact, I'm going to rebel against it. That was me. Not one of the finest moments or years of my life. And I had to go through a lot, y'all. A lot. But I believe that everything that happened during that time, especially those things that I am not proud of, and there were so many. You know, I grew up the majority of my childhood and my teenage life being very secluded, like we went to church and we did all the church functions, nothing wrong with that. And I went to a Christian school that was attached to the church. And there that's all I ever dealt with in life. I mean, you talk about like being in a bubble. I don't think bubbles are good. Can I be? It's not good. It's just not good. And when mom died and my dad just, I don't, I learned decades later that I had no understanding what my dad went through during that time, right? No understanding. But it was real easy for me to judge him because I do think he was wrong. I do think that he should have stood up. I do believe, hey, Quentin, I do believe that he should have become the father I needed. But he didn't. Ever. It scarred me. I thought, I'm not even worthy for my dad to put me first, for my dad to put my brothers first. And I was angry about that. I think my dad did the best he could because my mom did really good at making him look good. But I didn't know that then. So then I was thrown out into this world, dad, life wasn't going well. And dad says, it's time for you to go. And I went. And I was suddenly cast out to a world that I did not understand. I did not understand anything or anybody that wasn't within the four walls of church and my Christian school. It was many years later that I realized that what my church was doing at the time was practicing seclusion and only bringing people in who wanted to conform to what their rule book was, right? When really what we should have been doing is just getting out there and loving people and letting them know that Jesus loved them right where they were. Think about this. No matter where you're at in your business, especially my Avon girls or all my direct sales girls, because you know me, right? Whether you were somebody who was big in the business or you were somebody just starting or you were somebody who were inconsistent or you were somebody who had all these issues going on, do you know why it was so easy for me to love you? Because I have been in such places in my life that now God has shown me that, Molly, you see all these places you are, these people that you're talking to, these reps that you're trying to help, these people that you're speaking to and you're trying to tell them about me, you have been where they are at. And you've got to be honest with them and let them know they are not alone. That no matter where you are in your life, no matter what you've come from, I don't care if you've had a bad church experience. I don't care that you've had a bad Christian experience. I don't care that you've had a bad business experience. It doesn't matter. Maybe you've been hurt. Maybe somebody has hurt your feelings in business. Maybe you've had bad marriages. Maybe you've had kids who've walked out of your life. Maybe you feel like your life has been wrecked with taking care of people your whole life, but you have never, ever, ever taken care of yourself. Well, thankful for you. God has been there to make sure you got through those times, because if you're still here listening to me, you got through it. You're getting through it. There is a purpose for you. It took me years to figure out that I had a purpose, and that sometimes my purpose in helping and loving people is by absolutely confiding the truth in you. To let you know you're not alone. To let you know that when your kids are hurting because something's going on, and you as a mama, you as a daddy, you have no control over the fact that your kid is sick, that your kid could be traveling down the wrong path, that your kid is not participating in life how you think that you raised him to participate, that things are going on with your grandkids, and things are going, no matter what it is, you don't have control over that. You can sit and beat yourself up for what you think you did and you didn't do, and maybe you didn't do your best at the time. You don't just keep holding on to that, y'all. You gotta let go and say, where am I going to do better? What am I going to do in the midst of the storm now? Aren't you tired of doing it alone? Aren't you tired of having nobody who isn't going to judge you? Aren't you tired of not having somebody like that in your life? Because you can and you do if you reach out. And the only person that I can reach out to amidst no judgment, and I can cry my eyes out to, or I can yell at the top of my lungs, or I can be frustrated and I can be that honest to, is God. Because sometimes I feel like He is the only one who hears me, understands me, and doesn't judge me. But in some way or another, I know He's going to eventually clear the path to the next decision, the next step that I need to take. It sounds crazy to some of you because you haven't found that yet. I get it. Because even when I heard it and knew about God and knew Christ as my Savior, let me be honest, I didn't have a relationship with Him. And there's a difference. Y'all know that you can believe everything you should believe, that you can say, I believe in God. I believe that He sent Jesus. He died on the cross. He rose again the third day. I've asked Him into my heart. I know that's how I'm getting to heaven. I believe, and that is all He requires. But what if you're missing the growth and the personal relationship that you can have where nobody's trying to save you, nobody's trying to judge you, you're allowed to speak your mind and say, I don't get it. Please help me through it. And I may not always like the outcome, but one thing's for sure, he gets me through it because I'm still here, y'all. I'm still here. And I'm still sharing all the mess ups that I've done. This week while I was at my kid's house, of course I still took my devotionals up with me. And I was having some moments up there, even amidst all the celebration and all the love. There are things, life keeps going on. You try to push stuff aside, but life still pushes on. And February 18th really, really stuck with me. So I'd already decided that today I was going to read this devotion to you. And you all know that this is, of course, from the Jesus Calling, Sarah Young. And I'll read you too what I wrote, which wasn't much that day, but I have a lot underlined. This says, I am with you. I am with you. These four words are like a safety net, protecting you from falling into despair. Because you are human, you will always have ups and downs in your life experience. But the promise of my presence limits how far down you can go. Sometimes you may feel as if you are in a free fall when people or things you had counted on let you down. Have you been there? I was, just last week. Yet as soon as you remember that I am with you, your perspective changes radically. Instead of bemoaning your circumstances, you can look to me for help. You recall that not only am I with you, I am holding you by your right hand. I guide you with my counsel, and afterward I will take you into glory. This is exactly the perspective you need, the reassurance of my presence and the glorious hope of heaven. In Zephaniah 3:17, it says, "The Lord your God is with you. He is mighty to save. He will take great delight in you. He will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing." And in Psalm 73:23 through 26, it says, "Yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel. And afterward, you will take me into glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And earth has nothing I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." Man. I wrote, "I am with you," my words, always. He loves me so much and will get me through these rough patches. I need to realize that Jesus is my safety net and he is my peace. And then again, I always wrote what I always write. God, let me walk slow enough to experience Jesus fully and love people deeply. That's my phrase for the year. I don't want to get so carried away that I forget to experience Jesus fully, which is going to allow me to love you and everyone I come in contact with deeply. You're not alone, but if you notice, he never said he was going to take you out of the issue. He wasn't going to take you out of the hard times. He just said that he was going to be there with you. That's hard because then you have to take your hands off things and say, okay, I'm going to be still here. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to see how God handles this. Do I have answers to what was troubling me last week yet? I don't. But I have a peace that it's going to be okay. Even if I don't like the outcome, it's going to be okay. And I think that's huge. I have the hardest time with that whole be still thing because I just want to go, 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 go and try to find the answers. And sometimes they're not there. And like I said, even with my team, exactly how I am with God, because it's exactly who I am, is exactly how I am with my team, with my customers, with my husband, with so many relationships in my life that I realize that I've got to work on me and all the relationships in my life. But if I start with working with my relationship with God and making that better, then it's going to make all of them better. And life is not always going to be what we want it. And if you haven't figured that out yet, you must be like 9 and you don't know yet. Because I believe in going after and putting the hard work in for everything that you desire, for things that you think are worth working hard for, and relationships that I want to grow and to nourish. But it doesn't always mean that just because I'm putting the work in, that that's going to happen. It doesn't mean that everything is always going to come together. And if, sometimes you'll notice, even with people you're following, 1 minute they're out there 3-4 days in a row and everything is great and everything with business is absolutely wonderful and on and on and on, and it just goes and goes and goes, right? It's just great. And then all of a sudden you'll see a lull and you'll see nothing. Now they may not be telling you that it hasn't exactly gone their way yet, right? They may not be telling you that because they feel like that's probably letting you down or letting social media down. But social media can be one of the worst things in the world if you don't have a firm grip on what you want your honesty to be and what you want to present. Many of you who follow me on Instagram will see that, wow, Molly really doesn't look together in that picture. And no, I'm most of the time I'm not. I'm not. Um, when I'm doing a video that I'm getting ready to send out to my team, I will absolutely try to be presentable, first impressions. But at the same time, when they see me on the Zooms and all, sometimes I'm so honest. Like, guys, it's been a hot mess day. It has been. But I was not going to come out to you. So here I am today. Here I am today. This is my best today. So let's get through this together. If you can feel what I'm talking about, if you feel what I'm feeling, if you understand that sometimes you don't want to show up because you think somebody's going to judge you because you're not at your best, it's really hard to let go of that, guys. I need you to know I still fight it every single day. But then I'm like, sometimes I feel so alone at not getting it right. That's why I share when I don't get it right. Because I just feel like if I don't share the good, the bad, the ugly, the wonderful, the sad, the frustration, that then you're going to think you're getting life and business wrong because you're experiencing things that some people are never going to tell you. Some people are never going to understand. And I'm not talking about getting on social media and talking about woe is you and life is so bad, because I am a person with a purpose. And if life is bad, if business is not going well, I want to address what's not going well, but I also want to bring a fix to the table. I want to bring, if I'm in a funk, what am I going to do to get out of this funk? If I am feeling like I'm not worthy of something, I'm going to figure out what can I do to get myself in a better place. And sometimes that means stopping to talk with God. Sometimes that means God puts people in my life who say, come on, Molly, you got this. Some of those people, in particular, who show up when I least expect it, are people like Tim Brown. Tim Brown, who is my brother from another mother. I am absolutely 100% in full belief of that. Tim Brown was instrumental in my life. I don't think he knows to this day how God used him during that 6 months, 6 to 8 months, and still to this day. But during that time when I was waiting for my surgery and for them to remove that portion of my kidney, Tim Brown showed up at points in my day when nobody, including my husband, knew what I was feeling. And I truly believe that God touched him and said, "Oh, here's something. Send that to Molly. I think Molly needs that today." And he would show up, and it would be sometimes so creepy. I would be like, "Does Tim, is he like watching me somewhere? What's going on?" But it wasn't Tim. I believe it was God putting people in my life that would bring some positive, some prayer, some support, some get out of your own head, Molly. You've got people out there to touch. You've got things you got to do. Don't you ever give up. God's not done with you yet. And here, Tim recently has been in the hospital with his own health struggle. And I immediately, as soon as I found out, was like, "Whoa, you don't do things like this and not tell your sister. What's going on?" And just thinking, "God, I hate that this has happened, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to return the love, to return exactly what he was to me, because there is no amount of honey bun cake that I think could have thanked him enough." Now, he will tell you differently on that for sure. And Tim is healing, and Tim is at home, and we need to all keep praying for Tim. Um, Tim is Mr. Positivity for sure. It is his name. I just call him brother. But he is an amazing follow because Tim, he's had his struggles when his mama was sick. And when nobody else wanted to believe that she could be healed, and God was like, "No," Tim's like, "God, we need more time." And they kept looking and they kept digging and they found a doctor who could give them more time. And every time I see a picture of Tim and his mama, I just smile through the tears because he's somebody that I want him in my corner. I want him cheering for me. There are people in your corner that are out there that are cheering for you. And even if you're like, "Not so much, I'm not into the God thing, Molly," well, if you got people who are in your corner who are always there for you, I got news for you. They're not there by mistake at all. God put them there. You don't have to believe me. But you think about what a pistol you are, and the fact that these people never give up on you, or their posts show up at exactly the right time, or that you're able to reach out to them or whatever. Do you really think that's a coincidence? Because I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in it. Those people are there because whether you want to believe it or not, God has a plan for you. And he's using these people, whether they know it or not, to maybe bring you to a part of your life that you're going to say, "Yeah, there is something much bigger than me happening here." And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I feel that in my heart. I feel like that's why I'm doing this. I feel like that's why God directed me to Avon. I believe that I am where I need to be in the moment. And if he ever has changes for me, I'm listening. I'm listening 100%. But I feel like we are all bought together here, whether you're watching this on replay or you're watching it live or you're watching it on YouTube. I believe there's a reason that we are connected. And you may not be on board with everything that I say, but I have to believe there's something you're going to take from today and you're going to say, "Well, I can't argue with that." Real quickly, let's talk about somebody else in Chosen, and then I'm going to let you go for the day. This, of course, is based on the series. This is a devotional, 40 Days with Jesus. I think it's a 4-part series now. It was 3 when I bought this. This is chapter 21, and the chapter is called Useful. In 2 Timothy 2:21 it says, "Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from these things, he will be a vessel for honor, sanctified, useful to the master, prepared for every good work." A vessel, now think about like a water pitcher, something like that, is designed and created for the purpose of containing something. A utensil, like a knife or a fork, is designed to and created for the purpose of doing something. And those who cleanse themselves become vessels. Remember, we read that. As Christ followers, there are plenty of things we're exhorted to do, yet we are never referenced to as ordinary utensils. Rather, we are chosen instruments, vessels. Ergo, we are to contain more than do. Wow. Of course, this begs the question, what are we supposed to contain? As obvious as the answer should be, it's just not. Throughout Scripture, we're told repeatedly that human beings are vessels designed and created for the purpose of containing God. Still, we tend to get hung up on utility. We have this proclivity for assessing people based solely on what they can do. Take Matthew, for instance, and why he was chosen to be a disciple. His ability to keep a ledger for the Romans while pilfering a pile of cash for himself demonstrated a keen proficiency in accounting. Check. He was also literate, a bonus skill that would come in handy for future gospel writing. Check, check. Personality wise, Matthew wasn't shy about public appearances. Check, check, check. He wasn't timid or apologetic about rendering his tax collecting services. In fact, that persistent workaholic attitude would prove especially useful when carrying out the Great Commission. Check, 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 check. All true, but no, that's human logic. Jesus didn't see Matthew sitting at his collection booth and think, oh, perfect, I don't have an aggressive numbers guy yet. He wasn't rounding out his team based on their resumes, his core in Meyer-Briggs results, or his competencies. In fact, their prior accomplishments were effectively useless, as evidenced by the 5,000 folks served fish by the fishermen who had nothing to do with the catch. Jesus didn't need ability. He required availability. Matthew was not chosen based on what he could do. He was called because of what he was willing to give up, which was everything. He chose to take Jesus at his word. Whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. And Matthew found it. He walked away from all the stuff, handed over the keys, and vacated the premises. He became a vessel of honor, sanctified, useful to the master, and prepared for every good work. He was ready to go and do only because of what he contained. Matthew was a vessel designed and created for the purpose of containing God, and he nailed it. Thank God that he doesn't value us for what we do, then ask him to reveal things you can do for him that don't necessarily require your natural skills. Personally, for me, when I read this, I thought I don't really have any skills. I don't have a college education. Most of the stuff I've done in my life, anybody could do. You know, a waitress, a secretary, you know, business manager for a doctor's office, a mom, you know, Avon, a rep. There just isn't anything that I've ever been great at. But the one thing I do know is that even amongst all the people who have taken advantage of me, who have used me, who have hurt me, the times in my life I was abused, I still had this overwhelming love for people. People. I always wanted to find one good thing in somebody when everybody else was looking at what was bad. Then when waitresses were in the back of the restaurant talking about the guy who, you know, didn't smell very good when he came in because he was living out on the street and he hadn't showered, and the fact of how many teeth he didn't have, and these things, that what I noticed was he used to take a portion of that small special every day, put it in a little styrofoam container, and take it outside and feed his dog. That as hungry as he was, he could have just scarfed it all up. And I thought, he has a heart for his companion, which was a little mutt that just was with him no matter where you saw him in town. And I just thought it would be so easy to be in his position and just be selfish. And he knew people were talking about him. But man, that's what I did. Somebody would come in and they would be just the worst customer they would be rude, and I'd still have to service them, and their meal was never right. And I remember I took that as a challenge, and I thought, I'm going to make this person say something nice. And they would come in 3 and 4 times a week. And it always seemed like they ended up in my section because the other waitresses were like, don't put them in my section. I don't want them. I don't want them. They don't tip well. And I remember no matter what the problem was, and I can remember sometimes they would only tip $1. And I can remember one time they used to always come in and order liver and onions, which is, I cannot stand liver and onions. Oh my gosh. Can't stand the smell of it, but it's okay. And they would always want it medium rare, and I swear the cook could never get it right for them. And I remember the one time, which was probably, I don't even know how many times that I waited on them, 20 times. And I would always come back to the table and go, okay, guys, now I'm telling you, I watched him this time. I think they're going to get it right. The onions are just right. I'm telling you, I think this is the time. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it in my heart. And they'd be like, yeah, okay, Molly. Right, gotcha. And why they keep coming in if they didn't like it, right? And I remember that they left a $5 bill on the table. Guys, that was huge back then, right? Because we're talking about back when I was like 18. And I was like, wow, I couldn't believe that. And I remember going over to the register, and number one, I said, thank you so much for this tip. Thank you so much. I don't know what I did to get my tip increased with you, but I need you to know, man, I appreciate it. And you know what the guy said to me, the husband? He said, you know what's strange, Molly? You're young. You are very young. He said, but you always show up with a smile. And he says, I know we're not easy. I know we like what we like and we want what we want. And he said, but you show up every time as though you just met us for the first time, but yet you remember things like he liked his tea, but he wanted light ice. And when he would say, and I would go to the table and go, tea, light ice, tea, no ice. And they would say yes, but they would blow me off, right? They would just like it was nothing. What if I had stopped? What if I had stopped? The reward was coming. The reward of breaking through those hard, always, never happy exterior. It was coming. I couldn't see it. But see, my goal was, I'm going to make them one day talk about, this is good. You got it right. The restaurant got it right. Because that was my job. So when many of you don't understand that why I fight for our company and why I fight for the representative and why I'm in there, and I know I can be the biggest pain in the butt to probably LG and to Avon corporate and probably to the Avon representatives too. When I go with you, I know my job is to get through to you with love, that together we can get through this. Together we can fix this. Together we are a team. Together God has a purpose for this company, for this business, for your business, for us. And we are all going to come together at one time or another, and we are going to smile. And I just want to know that you are so glad that I continue to show up, because that's what God told me to do, to continue to show up for you, to keep giving you the smile that God has given me and the belief that He has given me until He directs me somewhere else. So even when you're like, I don't want to hear about God, you know what my heart tells me? I'm going to keep talking about Him, because eventually you're going to have a need for Him. And I want you to know that you can see Him through me, through my life. And that when you need someone to pray for you, you can pray with me. That I will take that prayer request to God. But above all, you can do the same thing. Because there's going to come a day when you're going to need Him more than you need me and everybody else. And I need you to know His door is always open. Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you for this time. I know I've run over a little bit, Lord, but you gave me the words that you wanted me to share. And I pray, God, that somewhere in business, somewhere in life, somewhere in family, somewhere in whether it's church or getting to know you, that people will realize that you are real, that you are the real deal, and that everything, even the bad times, are better when they have you to hold on to. God, you've seen the prayer requests that have come through. You know about little Colby. God, we have prayed so hard, Lee and I did, for him, for his complete healing, for his family. You know what's going on there. For Tim Brown. God, so many I'm sure I haven't seen yet, but I know you've seen it. And God, I ask that you will be with whoever is going through struggles, whoever is watching this YouTube live replay. Maybe they'll share it. Maybe it's something that somebody they need will need to hear. God, we pray for our Avon Nation. We pray for our company. We pray, God, for anybody who is just experiencing anything. But at the same time, God, we are praising you that we are still here today. We are praising you that we have another day. We are praising you that you are going to show us how to get through this day, no matter what our struggles are. And they are many for many people. You know my struggles, God, and you know there are many right now. But every day you seem to get me through and wake me up the next day. We are thankful for that, God. Be with us, keep us safe, direct our week, show us where you want us each and every day. In Jesus' name, amen. Guys, I love you. It's Tuesday and it's still morning. Go out there, make a difference. Do what I said at the end. Ask God to help you experience Jesus fully by walking slower and to love people deeply. You will never regret it. You will never feel alone, even when you feel like everybody else has walked away. Have a wonderful week. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.